The weekend is here! And we have come to do what we do best on Jasiri, that is give you bold, courageous, and insightful conversations while delivering a splash of empathy, curiosity, intellect, some bass, some spice. You know how we do it here. We have a lot lined up for you all today, and we'll also be taking your calls on the show. So you can call in today. Please, guys, call into the show. It's Friday. What does that mean, ladies?
It's hot topic!
And of course, it's our favorite day of the week, and we have someone whose voice you've heard many times without knowing you heard it. She will be joining us today. Of course, I gave it away. It's a she. Yeah. But before then, ladies, I have been waiting to share this experience I had this week. You know, last week I was ranting about getting like a date to submit an application at the UK Embassy. And of course, I'm wondering why all the dates are premium. And maybe one day in a week will just be for regular people and everything. Thank God Almighty, I did not succumb to the pressure
To pay for premium.
of paying for premium. You know, I went to submit my application. Which day was I off? On Wednesday.
Okay.
And lo and behold, sister, this is the first time I would ever experience such a thing in my life. I was the only one at the application submission space
not possible.
in Victoria Island.
Not possible.
I know like this.
And you entered still, you didn't ask them, everybody else.
I entered.
Did you understand?
You know, it was so uncanny. I was like, what's going on here?
Did you think like the rapture had happened?
What about those queues we see outside?
Which queues? No queues was there on that
Sorry,
Wednesday.
no.
When I'm telling you, people
It's not possible that there was no one there.
I cannot lie. I sat there. In fact, as I not even sat on their red chair. They had collected my application, and I looked at all the rooms. They had 2 biometric rooms, and nobody was there. In fact, all the staff were just chilling and playing.
No, but why did
I want to believe that maybe
Was it a bad time of day?
no, they give you different times. I had like a 1 o'clock appointment, so definitely it's even time run into. You would get there, you would run into other people's time.
Because those places are
And I know it was a
always
rainy
packed.
day, but no matter how rainy, if you had an appointment
There'll
at the
be people
embassy,
there
you
under
will
the
make-
rain, under the
I
sun.
had an appointment and it was raining, and I still left my house to go because do you want to pay for 2 times?
So essentially you're saying
There
no one
was
was at the
nobody there. at the
But
day
did you
that I
ask
went.
them what, I mean, what
did they drive
What thing I
them?
go they ask them? You know, first, I was even in
we
shock
ask you?
at how
Quiet it
everybody
was,
was just easy. I just chatted with the lady. She was just taking my notes, or like when they'll be so strict, you know,
And
everybody
stressed,
follow this
there's-
lady.
yeah.
All the chairs were empty.
But you know,
When I
it's
even
sad.
went for my biometrics and I was done, at least you would have said, oh, somebody, I met
coming
someone
after you.
sitting. No, till
Wow.
I exited that place, all this thing was done in 5 minutes.
But you know
because
what she's saying is
That's
makes
history.
sense because there's a picture trending this weekend of somebody posting a picture in I think Murtala Mohammed International Airport or Abuja.
empty.
body.
Empty.
No, that's not possible.
Empty. I was
Empty.
empty.
And you know how the Nigerian airports get.
People were not waiting for
Flights.
How
No one is
wait?
flying.
When local flight is upwards of
400,000.
No one is flying.
But this is
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, whose sister traveled to France, said the flight was full 2 days ago. She says there's not
what airline?
evening.
That might, of course, international might. You know,
Yeah, that was what.
we're out of the country.
Yeah.
But that
Local.
Local.
People are not even flying local. Because why would you go to Abuja and pay 400,000?
What does that
People would
even
rather go and sit down in Ekele Dilichuku and go where they are going.
I have with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that at all. No, me, I have no shame. And anybody that comes and says, I work for my money, I can determine
How
what
you
I
want to use
choose
it.
to spend my money
Facts.
on.
Yeah. Facts.
And I did not want to pay for premium.
Facts.
Because if I did pay for premium that day,
It would have been a waste.
I had to ask
A
them. I said,
waste.
please, in your premium lounge, do you serve amala and ewedu?
No.
They were just laughing. I'm like, no, because if I'm going to pay for premium lounge for that much, oh, please, I better see gourmet. I better see.
These two experiences point to something that people have been saying. The purchasing
Purchasing
power
power
of
is-
Nigerians
yes.
has
Have
drastically
reduced drastically.
Yeah.
People have to
Purchasing
think,
power,
is
yeah.
that trip worth
Worth
it?
it, yeah.
If
Is a
that
priority.
trip is going to pay back in value,
Yeah.
spending on
on
that
it.
trip. And even to do visas and things, even the numbers are reducing.
Reducing.
Yes.
And so at the end of the day, we can't afford it. We're struggling to even afford fuel. The fuel that's going to take
you to the airport.
Visa center,
It's
uncle.
going to take you to the airport in Koku.
Nko.
Things have actually gone
Things, purchasing power have really
bad.
reduced,
That's why
honestly.
they're calling, they nicknamed the president
T-Pain.
Don't worry.
What it do
Very soon.
was
Don't worry. Very soon.
You must know the song.
I was no, that's not a
Another
T-Pain
song.
song, but I'm asking
let's
our
not go
president,
there.
sir.
Let's
What's
not
up,
go
sir?
there.
How are you doing? Your children
Nigerians,
are
honestly,
dying, oh.
and we need to stay. Another thing I observed is that a little rain in Lagos, everywhere is flooded.
But that has
I am afraid
let's
of
be fair.
torrential
That's not a
rain.
Tinubu thing. Let's be
no,
fair.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I moved
But
on
is it-
beyond
is
that.
it partly
I said I'm
I think
afraid.
he owns Lagos, right?
No, not that he owns
Okay, what?
Not that he owns Lagos, but he is always credited as being like the architect of the modern Lagos.
Right,
And if we're
exactly.
talking about you putting down and there's a Lagos master plan. What happened
to
it?
it?
What
Okay.
happened to Gutter?
All right,
But
guys.
then
So this
we
is
must
time.
also blame ourselves.
Tolu, pause.
but-
hold it there. Let's take a short break, guys.
Why are
It's
we
hot
taking a break?
topics fresh.
Why are we taking a break? Let's go on a break.
And then when we come back, we'll bring in our
I want
guest.
to enter gear 5. You want to go on a-
Welcome back to the show.
Acting so calm. No,
Like,
not like this.
no, I'm in my pretty girl mode, so nobody.
Soft girl era.
Yes, soft girl.
And your
era.
feminine.
And they say,
Oh,
oh, you're soft
God.
girl era. That means they don't give you belly, so you're hiding away. Anyway, welcome back to the show. We have a lot of unpacking to do today. So don't forget to join the conversation via our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can also be a part of the conversation today. Yes, I'm pretty today, so I decided to allow
Very
the phone
pretty.
lines to be up and running. So our phone lines are there for you to call us, 234-705-572. 72. But first, you know, our hot topic special guest is here. Wait, give it to me. I don't live here. So let's welcome Chioma BBB Akpala to Jasiri.
You have to curve your head a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a royal way.
It's a little curve.
Oh my gosh.
And then
I mean,
you
thank
don't
you
move
so
it
much.
too
This
much.
is a big award.
Do you know what? Do you know when they said Chema BBB, the first thing that came to my head is, don't judge me. Roadrunner BB.
Okay, you go. What did you people do in the makeup room?
For clarity's sake, the BBB is big, bold, and beautiful.
All right. Hear it?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, so before we dive into hot topics, we have to ask our guest, our signature Jasiri question. If you know, you know. Nobody in this country can we say 100% say we know what's going on with you. So my sister, I'm gonna
See how
ask
she
you,
turned.
how are you?
Really?
Not how now. How are you?
How are you really?
This is a good question.
Yeah.
How are you,
My friend. How do you do, my friend? No, let's keep singing. Sometimes
Before they say that,
nobody sent you. That's what I did for you, my friend. I know. They need to name this choir.
But seriously, how are you?
I'm grateful. I'm still standing. You know, when you're still standing, no matter what is happening in the country, you have to be grateful. So every time people ask me, how are you? I say, I'm grateful. I'm grateful because, again, we are here.
Yeah.
We're here to complain.
Against all odds.
Against
all odds.
We're still here to
And-
complain.
And it could have been worse.
Yes, it could have.
Unbelievably so, but it's true.
Yeah.
Can I ask you quickly, just hypothetically,
Yes.
what would worse look like?
Ha!
Just considering, because we know what the country is
Living on
like
that
now.
Being that some
bridge.
things have gone beyond our imagination,
Yeah.
let's not imagine it. Because you see, imagination have been coming to life. Let's stop imagining it.
Because
It's
for
a
some
risky
people, this is
business.
their
That's all
worst.
I'm gonna
This
say.
When you
is
say
their
worse,
worst.
you know the first picture, I see those homeless people living by the side of the street with their pillow and their...
There's no
mat.
more middle class. In
No,
fact,
that's been gone for a long time. No
there's
upper
no-
middle class.
Yeah,
No.
there's nothing like
It's
that.
either you are rich
It could
or you are
actually
poor.
have been worse. And it is worse for some people.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
So I'm grateful.
That is
In
not
that
worse
little
for you.
that we have, in the little that we're making work,
Yeah.
we have to be grateful.
God, Choma, let's get to our first story because I served it special.
It's so sweet.
I served this special for our ladies.
So sweet.
Now, yesterday, News Central's managing director and editor-in-chief, Kayode Akintemi, had a UNGA sideline conversation, which focused on protecting the rights of African women and girls. One of the panelists was the First Lady of Sierra Leone, Fatima Maada-Bio. He asked her about how Sierra Leone was going to make its recently passed ban on early child marriage work in the country. I was on air with our international correspondent, Adeshawa Josh, and both of us were flabberwhelmed and overgasted. I described her answer as dropping a grenade when I was doing the live coverage. Here's what she had to say.
Listening to my colleagues here on the panel, in my head, I'm saying to myself, we talk about mass destructions. When they talk about mass destructions, everybody talk about weapons, everybody talk about bombs, everybody talk about all of this. Africa, our worst mass destruction that we have are the penises of men. That is our worst mass destruction, because they use that to destroy our girls. They use that to prevent our girls from being educated. They use that to relegate our girls to poverty. They use that to really demean our girls and make them look so small, so they don't have a future, or they don't believe in themselves to even think about their own future. Now, if every African woman, every African mother starts to see that as a problem, we will be able to protect our children.
Hold on. Before we dive in, and I know the ladies are ready to dive in, I think we should also hear from an expert who was also on the panel on the impact of early child marriage, not just on African girls who are victims, but also on the economy. Take a listen.
I'm an anatomic pathologist, and so I perform a lot of autopsies to determine the causes of death. And very common that contributes to maternal death are things like postpartum hemorrhage and all that. And these things come from, these young girls who are underaged. They're not fully developed physically. If you know that the pelvic system of a young girl under 19 is not fully developed, it's about 80 to 88% developed, then you know what the ramifications are when she has to undergo sexual intercourse and carry a full pregnancy. So they have complications of obstructed labor leading to, they can have uterine rupture and they can die. And if they don't die, there are morbidities that they have after that pregnancy: vesicovaginal fistulas, rectovaginal fistulas, urinary incontinence. In my country, it's more common in the northern part of the country, the northeast and the northwest, which, by experience is where we see the prevalence of that. And that has its attendant problem on the healthcare system. So it might just look like, okay, it's just some young girl who gets married and has her own issues in terms of these health issues that I've spoken about physically. If they don't die, there are also mental ramifications to it as well, because these are young girls that are not fully developed mentally and psychologically to handle what is going to happen to them when they have complicated pregnancies. Apart from that, they're saddled with the responsibility of being a wife and a mother. And so even if the children that they have survive, there's also neglect at home. There's a very big correlation between early marriage and maternal death and infant mortality. And we know that Nigeria is kind of high up there in terms of that, which we're working on. So there's a big direct correlation with that. So, those are some of the things that can happen by pushing forward child marriages. It also has an effect on the economy, because in 2019, Nigeria was said, using Nigeria as an example, was said to have lost $7.6 billion from lack of earning and productivity because of child marriages. So even though it seems it's child marriage, it transcends the whole society, basically.
So, I know that's a lot to take in. And before we start, Choma, Annie, hold the horses. Choma, you're a special guest. you have first right of, I guess it's response in this situation.
But I can have rebuttal in the middle.
It's about to go down.
Because, so first of all, I'm cringing because, was it 2 or 3 months ago, I had a conversation with Stella Damasus. She wrote a book called Mama It's a Girl. If you haven't read that book, you need to read that book. It's a very small book, very short book, but it totally covers all of this. I'm not married. I don't have children yet. But there are times when I see things like this and I start to say, hey, God, is it a good idea to bring children to this world right now? Because there's so many layers to this. There's, yes, this in Africa has been happening over decades and decades and decades, right? But then there's also the fact that our children, we're already complaining that a lot of children are not informed. A lot of a lot of, like most of the girl children are not informed enough and pushed into marriage. But then there's also all of this, I don't know what it is, but it's a craze to be older. We're talking about it in the, and we're talking about the fact that the millennials are looking younger, the younger ones are looking much older. So that's already a problem. So you see a girl that's 15 and you're taking her to be 17, 18.
Or 28. What are you talking about? 28, yeah.
You're giving her... So there's that problem. There's all the information, there's all the access that children have to sexual content that allows for them to feel that if you are not sexual as a girl, you are nobody. You don't matter. You're not happening. They matter many.
But is that what you think? Because she's talking about child marriage. You know, we were here one of the days, we celebrated Sierra Leone. We saw that video of the First Lady and a number of the advocates and activists who were celebrating the passage of a law that bans child marriage. In this same panel, she talked about before, sometimes the offense, you get 4 months in jail. If you get any time, 4 months in jail for rape or molestation, any
sexual violence.
Now they've changed it. It's a 50-year minimum. And if the person dies in the process, it is life in jail.
But you know, Tolu, what I just, the first thing when I looked at that First Lady, I wanted to ask when she's selling her ashwebi, because I would totally buy all
You are
she's
trying to
wearing.
trigger me.
No,
you're trying to. I
was triggered yesterday.
That is an ashwebi that, but honestly, I sat down when Tolu sent that thing into the group yesterday and I said, wow, what an intellect. What deep thinking. The fact that they are even able to think and pass such a law that is very fundamental and needed. We in Nigeria, we are trying to redo and repeal a VAT Act that is not even as encompassing, as targeted as we want it to be, a truly women-protecting law. They made it omnibus. We are there. And now a fellow African country is passing a bill, to repeal something that even some people in our House of Reps are guilty of. And marrying underage children. They will claim and they will hold on to that little law that protects them, seemingly Islamic law, and say that, oh, this is the age a woman gets to. And yet they keep telling us that the maturity of women, when I look at my daughter, do you know when they asked, I said, would you like to make me a grandmother? She said, at what age? And she's almost 20. And I'm wondering, this is something that African women have suffered. Do you remember the last 2 years, how many girls have killed their spouses?
Yes.
In the north, young girls. Because they probably cannot even bear what is happening to them. The invasion of their body alone. When a 15-year-old has to accommodate a man, that even we that are older find a bit difficult.
I'm so sorry.
Wait, just before, I need to ask this before Annie goes. The majority of early child marriages on the continent are young girls under the age of 18, marrying to men 10 years and older. We need to emphasize that. Annie, please go ahead.
And do you know what the main problem is, or the main reason? This is my opinion, but I also think it is the truth. When we talk about, I can say sex on air, right?
Yes.
When we talk about women or girls who are forced into marriage, forced into sexual relationships, because it's not just marriage. Marriage is one aspect.
Yes.
There are girls who, once they hit puberty, people are already looking at them. In fact, prepubescent girls, you have older men looking at them.
Where did
It's
breast
not about-
ironing come from?
It's not about sexual desire alone. It is something else expressed through sexual desire. It is power and control. That is what it is at its base, at its core. Listen, when you are able to determine the outcome of something, you wield all the power over it. And that is what men have turned sex into. It is the commodification of women. I was saying this to you, I think, in the makeup room, I think it was. This is the offshoot or the consequence of the commodification of women. And I'm going to say this, and it might be controversial, but I'll say it anyway. It is not just a man problem. Yes, men started it, but women, we perpetuate it now with the fact that almost every single woman looks at herself in the mirror and says, if I don't have a waist this small and hips this big and an ass that big, I'm not beautiful. I'm not good enough. I am not attractive. Women go under the knife. They go and get their bodies chopped up so that they can come out and be attractive to what the male gaze is right now. Because women have been turned into objects that can be bought and sold for a price. But it is about power and control, pure and simple.
But this is the same. That's why I came. That's why I started off with the level of information that's out there for younger. Someone was talking to us in the makeup room about a girl who's less than 21, and by 18 she had done all this body work because she could. So there's this thing about, we already see this child is what, 12, 15? She's flat-chested, nothing to, and yet somebody will marry her. Now, the kids look a lot older. So the challenges are more.
Because the media presents a certain standard.
Ladies, there's a point of this where I disagree with you, because I think we're not looking at this in the light of the places where it happens. The places where it happens, they're not going under the knife to do BBL. They're not really, they're not, okay. But at the end of the day, we all know that in Nigeria, this predominantly happens in the north. They're not going under the knife to do the BBL.
Yes, but the issue is power and control.
So the issue
is power and control.
Yes, I agree with that. The issues are power and control, but I don't want us to conflate what is also a part of the conversation on that's cultural, and then the exposure that is happening in the south,
but the
in the southern
exposure
parts
is
of the
getting
country.
to the north. That's what you don't understand.
No, so I agree that the exposure is getting there, but when we come down to the core of this issue, you've talked about power and control. When you look at the complications that the doctor reeled out, these are complications that at the end of the day, these men will still drop these girls back with their families. Many of them will have VVS and will not be able to have a normal life again. They come back to become their family's problems. But we also need to look at the root causes. The root causes around the world: poverty, insecurity, a lack of education. And then they now also have to choose which child they send to school. And most families will choose the male child. There's a conversation about dowry. But wait, did you also know that child marriage is legal in about 20-something states in the U.S.? Yes. It's not just an African conversation. And I dislike the fact most times that this kind of conversation continues to wear blackface.
And because we are the ones that like to put our dirty linens out there.
There's a world system that has been set up. Listen, human beings, one of the things we are most averse to
look at the countries. The only country that's not in the top, that's not an African country in the top 10 is Bangladesh. In the top 11.
Then you said something interesting, and I was trying to, hold myself from commenting, because of course we have a lot more stories to go through today. Guys, don't forget, you can also, we're still taking calls. You can call us and be part of this conversation. 0705 572-7272. Let's keep the hot topic special train.
We're not moving.
Just before you were going.
I'm just telling you.
I will jump across this table at you.
I'm inviting people.
Please, before you guys call in, we were just saying now that it's a multi-pronged problem.
Yes.
And I was saying that human beings, one of the things we are most averse to is change. Absolutely. We don't like change. We adapt if we have to, but if we don't, we'll kick against it with everything we have. And the way the world has been set up, it's been set up by men. Listen, I like men. This is not a man-bashing thing, but I'm saying it's been set up to work for men. From the beginning of time.
But women are instigating it. Women are championing it now.
No, it is a learned helplessness. It's a learned
it doesn't change the fact that women are the ones who are championing it in a lot of these spaces, where if again, y'all need to read this book because it has to do with women who actually had these issues, who faced these challenges. A lot of our mothers and their mothers before them, this is the only life they knew, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
However, they cannot say, a lot of times, information is actually out there. They just, it's like, I've gone through it, so you must go through it too.
But that's what I'm saying.
So there's that
We haven't heard from Catherine.
Let's hear Catherine.
If we want to talk about this, like you say, it's in layers. First of all, when I heard this, I wanted to say I've never seen a woman so bold,
What?
so articulate and
Absolutely.
fearless. That is a true
Absolutely.
Jasiri woman.
Absolutely.
She's not afraid to call it out because, like you
say
say,
it like it is.
this has been going on for decades, for years, and we've just accepted it as the norm.
Yeah.
Madam, me as your mother, I went through it, therefore you must go through it. In So Long a Letter, it's a book written by Maria Maba. These are the issues that we raised. And I've read that book, Mama is a Girl, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Guys, we need to open our minds. We are keeping, the world is moving. We keep saying it on this table. Everything is evolving, is what I say. Whether we like it or not, it's happening in the north, in the south. Bauchi has the highest rate of that as we speak in the country.
Yes.
It don't mean that it will shock you to know that these perpetrators are spread around everywhere. What says that the man who is in Bauchi cannot move to Lagos and continue this in Lagos?
Absolutely.
All you need to do, and Tolu raised a very interesting point, salient at that, poverty.
For the right
You
price.
use poverty.
Of course.
Parents cannot raise the children. You see someone saying, take my child.
literally
Or even to repay debt.
The moment we start saying no, change will not come in a day.
They won't.
It is a movement. The moment we can stop saying no as mothers, because mothers are guilty, women are guilty of this.
Are these not the kinds of things that the women that we look up to in our society should be lending their voice?
Which is why you said you would buy the First Lady's Ashwebi.
Yes. Is this not? Because when when I looked at that Sierra Leonean First Lady, I was so encouraged that these are the kind of mentors and role models that African children, not just Nigerian children, African children, children can look up to. She called it what it is. Everybody talks about the patriarchy, that their penises have destroyed so many girls' lives and truncated their future right from inception.
There's a saying. There's a saying.
Yesterday.
What?
When we spoke to
Oh, yes.
That's a classic example.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, that story is trending on our social media page, just, on
I don't know if
Instagram.
you guys have heard this saying, and I might butcher it, but I'm going to get the essence of it, that the destruction of the tree is in the tampering with the sapling. What that means is this.
From growth,
you
from
don't
inception.
have to bother with hacking the tree down when it's grown. When it is a seedling, you alter its ability to form properly. What we have is a conditioning problem. There is a way that men think, and you were talking about women being the perpetrators, but I was trying to explain that it is a learned, almost like a cultural allyship.
to become the
Because
perpetrators.
you have gone into a system where when you look all around you, there's no way out. It's like Stockholm syndrome. So I'm like,
No, but
listen,
wait.
I'm going to become the thing
You
that has
talked
made
about
me this way.
about Animal Farm sometime during the week. And when you read Animal Farm, you'll find out that they set up that structure within using others to keep others below it down. And I think we need to two legs. And it wasn't supposed to start like that. And I also want us, again, I'm very interested in the facts because I think that's what we need to keep re-emphasizing. Guys, these facts around child marriage, especially girl child marriage, are horrific. 12 million girls married before the age of 18 every single year. 23 girls are married every minute. As we are having this conversation, girls around the world under the age of 18 are being forced to marry men in most situations that are 10 years older than them. And in some situations, they're the age of their fathers and grandfathers. That's nearly one girl every single second. And over 650 million women alive today were married as children. For me, that's over 650 million dreams.
Yes,
inspiration, opportunities, and the majority of that sits on the African continent. And you ask ourselves, how we continue as a continent to want to put one hand behind our back, hobble half of the continent, and say that we're making progress.
How can Africa
possible.
How can Africa ever develop when this is what the foundation is like?
Yeah, that's what
and so you look at the decadence that we experience in the society today. A lot of people do not know that there are root causes of things.
Of course.
Men have set up this system in a way that it pleases them.
Yes.
Look
The
at
men of old,
governance, Lord,
they will
Lord.
say,
Look at governance. We're struggling to have a footing in governance. As women.
Look at the
Because
men
we're not
of
even
old.
regarded.
The fact that they married children wasn't even because they were emotionally attached.
It's
They just
not
needed
a-
people to work on their farms.
Yes, and also to propagate their
So
lineage.
that they will have more
That's
children
all.
who can help them to take care
build
of
their
farms and
yes.
their wealth.
Yes.
Look at the reason why women have been in marriages. It's not even for love. It's not just for procreation. It's both because the economic value they bring to their husbands.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to go for a break, but I want Shema to have the last word on this particular story. We'll take a break because we need to take a break to breathe. There's anger in the land, and there's anger on this table. But Shema, I want you to have the last word
I
on
echo
this.
everything everyone has said, but I'm still going back to the fact that, again, there's so much that's going on with children in today's world and so much information. I served in Bauchi many years ago, and I remember that one time, I served in town.
Okay.
There was one time that I went to pick up someone at, there was a hotel that the buses are supposed to stop, and I picked the person up. And I was sitting there, and I saw children wearing jalabia. Once they enter the hotel, it goes off. And the things you see. So when you think that information is not reaching them, now lie you. There's and that was many years ago. So the kind of information that we have access to right now on your mobile phone, the internet is so available. Children are growing faster, looking older than they should. Information is reaching them and they're trying everything.
And their brains are not developed to
And their brains are
handle
not
it.
developed. So it's a problem that we need to deal with the men. It's a problem that we need to deal with the women. It's a problem we need to deal with the children as well, the girl child as well.
All right, let's take a break on that note. This hot topic special train is going to keep moving. When we come back, we're headed to Delta State. Stay with us.
You are watching Jasiri here on News Central TV, and we're live on all our social media platforms, guys. Please remember you can be part of our conversation. Phone lines are open. So let's move on to our next story on a hot topic special Friday. Our next story takes us to Delta State, where the police spokesperson shared a video about the arrest of about 123 suspected internet fraudsters. Let's hear what the SP Bright Edafe said.
Okay, we are here at Ekpan Police Station in Ubia local government area. Here we'll be parading about 123 suspected internet fraudsters who were engaged in the business of internet fraud. They were all placed in a particular house in one estate in Efun, Warri Road, where they do what they call HK. They say HK means Hustlers Kingdom. However, what is their modus operandi? They engage their agents who go on social media to flaunt wealth that most times are not even theirs and convince unsuspecting boys of the age of 17, 18, 19, 20 that they want to teach them forex and also that they want to teach them crypto business. Now, what do? They lure them some all the way from Kaduna, some all the way from Akwa Ibom, some all the way from Ibadan to that particular estate and beat the hell out of them. That is their own welcoming.
Hey, so that's the beginning. So he actually spoke to one of the young boys who is 17 years old, and that one spoke about what happened. So let's take a listen to that, and then we'll talk about it.
Sorry, what brought you to the estate? Just tell me, go straight to the Also, what kind of hustling?
Internet flooding.
Internet flooding.
Yes.
Okay, now they tell you say it be. Okay, when did you get there?
Over 1 month.
Okay, you don't do that for like 1 month now.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me your experience inside the place.
So my experience inside that place is sometimes we only eat morning and evening.
Okay.
And another thing is like we sleep 9 to 5 o'clock in the day. If we sleep at 9, I wake up. From that 9 we start work till 5 o'clock.
Oh yeah, how the work be? How do they do the work?
Our work is to show us how to hacked this Facebook, after hacking this Facebook. But that thing, for me, I don't really like it. I always tell my guys sometimes, this thing is very hard for me to do it.
Okay, it's okay. Now,
Just wait for 1 month.
since you come the estate, they don't allow you call your mama.
They only seize our phone and they say you are only calling on Sunday only.
Okay, they seize on our phone. They say you can only call on Sunday.
So, ladies, so they are tricked to come into an estate somewhere in Warri, in Delta State. They are beaten. Their phones are taken. They are restricted from communicating with their family and friends, and then they are forced into this Yahoo work. Yeah. And when I was watching this video, and my concern was, you're hearing their statements. Even the police spokesperson in Delta State is saying that they are tricked. Yeah. You're lining them up and parading them as suspects. Yes, there's an element of where they have to take accountability for the work they're doing. Yeah. Literally, these people stand over them and force them into this Yahoo. But where do we also treat them as victims? Am I wrong in thinking there should be... This boy is 17. Yeah. He's underage. He's not, as of yet, he's not legally adult as it should be. Yeah. Where is the part of the empathy and the looking at the fact that they were forced, they were coerced and forced into this? Does that have no bearing in this situation? Choma, let me start with you first.
What's the difference between this and kidnapping, forced labor, slavery? There's no difference. And I agree with what you just said. Where are the actual perpetrators? Mm-hmm. Yeah. These ones are, those kids, those boys, half of them are laughing on that because they don't know the gravity of what they've just gotten into. Yeah. And cryptocurrency, Forex, it's giving them a bad name because they're good people who actually do it right. Yeah. However, it's been redefined in many ways in recent times. So I'm concerned for this police work. It's not correct. I'm looking for you. No, yes, because I need you to be parading the perpetrators. Yeah.
The people who beat them.
Yes, that beat them. To be fair, these boys, and this is my opinion, their faces should be blurred. Yeah. It is the perpetrators who should be paraded out there. When you're talking, let the perpetrators be shown.
But even the perpetrators, probably they have taken off. And
yes,
but these young boys see their face.
But how have you helped the situation parading these boys? Yes, who you claim by yourself, you are saying they are not informed, they're basically cajoled, manipulated into these things. How have you helped the situation?
So if you're going to send them to jail now, you're truncating already. Yeah. Their family who, this guy said he has not spoken to his family in how long since he's been there. Yeah. There's, again, why does it feel like so many issues in Nigeria are not simple? They're not black and white. They're just too many motivated. And then my child has disappeared for how long? Yeah. And I've not shouted. Yes. So even family members that are not asking questions.
No, Tolu, this thing that you're looking at, it's an endemic problem. Because you do not even know the things that I hear on the streets. It's something we should be afraid of in the country because they are solidifying a culture of the fact that this is considered a hustle. You know, work is supposed to be your hustle. But now that these young people are being fed this fodder of this is hustle, you are working. You're looking at all these young boys. 123 of these young boys came from 123 families. Yeah. Some of their mothers and fathers are not even asking for them because they are depending on these children to make it so that they can
children are the ones parenting their parents.
They are the ones parenting their parents. Oh, so these children are left alone.
You only hear about the families when they
blow. Exactly. Yes. Some of these children, whether you like it or not, as much as they are victims, they need rehabilitation.
Absolutely.
Forget the fact that they do not even know what they're doing. They need to be reoriented. Many of these children are not in school.
Yeah.
They are doing this, and let me shock you, Tolu, they make money. No. They make money, and as long as they've made some money, that is already a lure. He solidifies the culture in that if XYZ can make this money, then that means there's hope for me. Okay. School is not in the picture.
And it's going to get worse now that we cannot afford school.
We have a... We have a caller, Chisom from Abia State. Chisom, join the conversation with us on any of the issues we've talked about so far.
I'm calling based on the boys.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Because I followed the story. You said something like they don't know like what they came for. They were kept in a room. But the honest truth is that most of these people you're seeing here is peer groups that make them go into things like this because they want to be like other guys out there who are rich. And it's not just that, it's their parents. Most of them, their parents might not be looking for them at home because they equally want them to go out there and make money like other people and come back home just so they can have a better life.
Yeah.
Most of them, they might not even want to be doing this, but their parents keep telling them, look at your fellow guy, he bought Benz, look at this one, he's doing this one, go out there, be like them, hustle, bring something back home. And then that's why they don't even bother to call them. If you ask them now, most of them, they will tell you, my parents is there, yeah, your parents is alive, but yes, have they called you? No, because they feel like their son is out there trying to make money and come back home. Then why are you sending a boy like that out from your home to go and make money? What do you expect him or her to do in this country with this economy like this? Most times the parents, they feel like they have done their responsibility towards you. Now you need to go out there and do your own responsibility and bring back home something to feed the family. Forgetting that these people are young and at the end of the day, they might not even have something to do outside there. There's no job.
Yeah.
So I don't see, it's not like I'm blaming them. I'm saying that what they are doing is wrong or what they are doing is right. But if you look at it from the other side, most of them is their father or their mother or siblings that made them, that put them into things like this, and they don't even know what they were going into until they got there.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Shizom.
much, Shizom.
Honestly,
I don't know what else to say after what she has said.
I'm telling you.
There's an issue that we haven't, I suppose maybe we're all thinking about, but I just want to amplify it. More than the scams, more than the bad reputation that this is giving Nigerians, more than all of that, do we understand how deeply eroded our moral fabric is?
Absolutely.
And do we understand how dangerous that is? Because if you get to the point where you no longer see human beings as human beings, you can do anything. People are killing each other at younger and younger ages. I remember, I think it was last year or the year before last. 4 boys, if I remember correctly, none of them were over the age of 19. They gathered one of the guys' girlfriend.
I remember the story.
They butchered her in the bush
for money
ritual. Do we understand what that means? People are losing their humanity, and that is the real problem.
They're losing their childhood and then their humanity altogether.
It is, you know, I like word on the streets. Every time I come and I tell you, this is more dangerous than we see.
Yes.
Because not only do they teach them this Yahoo, they teach them juju along with it.
Yes.
Because that is why you see that these young children do not have any fear to take a human being. Did you see the boy that killed Christiana? He said he needed money. Ask him money for what? And you're wondering that, what do they use money for? They just use money to just this seemingly extravagant life that they see on social media. That some of them do not know that some of the clothes that we celebs wear, we return them to stylists that put it on us.
It's capitalism.
Don't think that some of this lifestyle you see is true.
Yeah.
There are rented apartments people can rent for a week.
LV bags are rented. Private jets are rented.
Yes. And you just show people.
And you know what?
Everything is
You are able to say that.
Understand that.
Yeah.
Money sprayed at parties. It's rented.
You and I are able to say that. Influencers will never admit to this truth. And those are their role models. So where do you go from here? Artists, half of the artists, and I'm talking about musicians and what have you, the monies that they're flaunting are not even their monies. Let's not talk about how those monies came about.
Is it money?
We're on in the industry.
Because we are going to open a pot that...
Those monies are not real.
Sorry, Lolo, I was watching something. I'll just quickly chip this in.
You have to go.
It was a video, some guy, and he's a top celebrity. He said the vision that is sold to people is when you get to the top, life becomes better. Like when you get to, that's why everybody wants to get to the top. And he says, once you get there though, you find that there's absolutely nothing there.
There.
If you have one pair of shoes when you're at the bottom, you have 50 when you're at the top, but it's still just
How many do you
shoes.
wear at a
There's
time?
How many will
nothing
you wear at a
different.
time?
They don't want to hear
nothing
that
designed
word.
today. Where would they go?
Okay. You know we told you it was going to be hot today, and we're hearing that we had some technical difficulties with the phone lines, but we're grateful that at least we're able to get Chizom through. We apologize to others who were trying to call us and couldn't make it through, and we'll sort those issues out. Chioma BB. We want to thank you for joining us.
Stop it, I like it.
We want to thank you for joining us. I'm happy we're able to laugh now because both of the stories we took, neither of them were laughing matters. Absolutely not. But I also want to remind you guys that News Central is also present at the United Nations General Assembly. And of course, we'll also be having our Diaspora Town Hall meeting tomorrow. Very, very important. Set your reminders and make it a date for with us for the Diaspora Town Hall, which is looking at the power of the diaspora, the right to vote. Of course, we have Abika Dabiri, we have Obi Ezekwesili, we have a number of people. It is 4 p.m. West African time, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And on that note, it's a big thank you to everybody. Bye!